Another round of restrictions is forcing people to postpone weddings. Some are going ahead with a pruned list of guests, but even the close relatives add up to 100 or more. As Delhi capped the number of attendees to just 20, people are in a dilemma whom to invite and whom not to. And the wedding industry is again in a quandary. When India's first lockdown was announced nearly 2 years ago, couples across the country postponed their wedding plans in the hope that the pandemic would soon go away. But when it became evident that COVID-19 was here to stay, Zoom weddings and intimate ceremonies with just family members and close friends became the trend. This obviously was not a good news for the vibrant marriage industry in India. It suffered huge losses. And there was no word on lakhs of workers employed in the unorganized sector in small cities and towns. More than a year later, and after bracing 2 coronavirus waves, the sector was finally finding its feet. Big fat Indian weddings were back towards the end of last year, with families splurging the money saved up during the pandemic. Our Instagram feeds were filled with pictures of friends either getting married or attending a marriage. The wedding business was returning to normalcy. Such was the rush that venues were booked months ahead and hotels were charging a premium for some auspicious dates. But it all seems to have come to a standstill again with the onset of Omicron. States including Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu have limited the number of guests that can attend a wedding. Rajasthan, a popular destination for extravagant marriages, has capped the number of wedding guests at 100. The government in Delhi, one of India's biggest wedding markets, has curtailed the number of guests at a wedding to a mere 20. It also went one step further and ordered weddings to be held only in a court or at home, dealing a huge blow to hotels and banquet halls. We spoke with Ashish Bubna, Director of F&P Weddings and Events, which plans events across India, to understand how the new restrictions have impacted their business.
When we take about Delhi NCR, most of the functions have got cancelled. And yes, due to the restrictions, people are postponing their functions. So we are seeing the cancellations and we are seeing very, very much decrease in the demand of the weddings which were supposed to happen. So it's quite evident, the impact is quite evident. It is very much visible. The guests are turning down the invitations that due to this COVID thing. People are not very much keen also. So it's both ways. November, December was good. Like we did good numbers as in terms of functions. It's not gone to pre-COVID levels. I would say it's in January, it's quite around 60-70% of a loss to us because of the cancellation.
An estimated 10 million weddings take place in India every year, and the Indian wedding market is estimated to be worth $80 billion per year, and it is growing rapidly. Murugavel Janakiraman, the founder and CEO of Matrimony.com, told Business Standard in a recent interview that he expects the wedding industry to touch $500 billion in 10 years. The marriage sector has a multiplier effect on the economy. In addition to event management firms and hotels, weddings involve the services of more than 24 sectors like catering, flowers, jewelry, clothing, photography, transport and entertainment, to name a few. A large number of temporary jobs are also created during the wedding seasons, which is going to be affected now. Business worth roughly Rs 4 lakh crore was expected to be generated in the upcoming wedding season that begins from the third week of January and lasts up to March. The Confederation of All India Traders has said the wedding trade is now likely to be reduced to just Rs 1.5 lakh crore. In the first phase of the wedding season in November and December last year, traders registered seasonal turnover of about Rs 3 lakh crore, according to Kate. Parthiv Tyagarajan, the co-founder and CEO of wedding media company WeddingSutra.com, gave us his observations about the industry.
17th November to 17th December was the golden month for the wedding industry because a lot of the weddings which got postponed, they happened then. Well, a lot has changed and fortunately, The wedding professionals are all learning to work with a plan B. All planners are realizing that it is not going to be easy for quite some time. It may not make sense to postpone. And if you decide to postpone, you quickly get married when the timing is good. And for that, you cannot again have a very long planning period, because there's no way anyone can say what it's going to be like. One cannot be confident that in November 2022, you can have a 500 or 1,000 pax wedding. That a lot of the HNIs prefer to host weddings in January, February, where the venues are amazing thanks to the weather. But like all industries, wedding industry has to adapt. There is no other way out. It may not be easy to have those big fat weddings again, but what is wrong in running a business which is about slim and smart weddings? It doesn't have to be about the big fat weddings alone. There always has to be a balance between business and safety.
Jewelry sales may also cool down if there is a decline in the number of weddings. Gold demand was robust last year as pent-up demand emerged for weddings that were delayed when the pandemic first hit. Delhi's wedding industry is hoping for the government to revisit its decision before the wedding season resumes again from the third week of January. But the government is also in a bind as the new COVID-19 variant is spreading very fast.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.